A very good morning, students. Welcome to the online class. So we have first chapter in English is Tom Thumb. Pronounce along with me. Tom Thumb. So we have some hard words. Please repeat after me. Trousers, leather, boots, sword, shield, needle, button, strangers. Okay, student, now let us start our video. A husband and wife did not have children and they were sad. There was a rose in their garden. One day they found a boy inside the rose. He was as small as a man's thumb. He never grew bigger. They called him Tom Thumb. Okay? Okay, students, listen carefully. There was a husband and wife. They didn't had any children. Since they didn't had any children, they were very sad. So one fine day, they saw a rose in their garden. So the rose was exactly like this. So both husband and wife saw a beautiful red color rose in their garden. Inside a rose, they saw a very tiny boy sitting in that. Let I show how he was sitting. He was exactly sitting like this. See how tiny boy he is? Is so small boy who was sitting in a rose in a very beautiful manner. So how he was? He was very small as a man's thumb. This is what a man's thumb, right? This is what a man's thumb, isn't it? So he was so tiny like a man's thumb. Got it clear? So he was just sitting so beautifully in a rose. Since he was very small and he was like a thumb, they called him Tom Thumb. The husband and wife called that boy as a Tom Thumb. Got it clear? Now let us learn the second para. Listen carefully. Tom's mother was very happy. She made fine clothes for him. He had a green coat and yellow trousers. On his head he wore a yellow hat with a feather in it. His mother made him little leather boots, no bigger than pen nibs. Yes, this Tom's mother, this lady was very happy after seeing that small boy in that rose because they were not having a children. The moment they saw the small boy in that rose, they were very happy. Tom's mother was so happy. So what she immediately did, she started to dress up the Tom Thumb. So she made a very fine clothes for him. What do you mean by fine? Fine means good clothes for him. You also like to wear a very good clothes, right? Your mother and father will buy you a good clothes. Likewise, even Tom's Thumb parents also bought a new clothes and they started to dress up the Tom Thumb. So they had a green coat and yellow trousers. They had a green coat and yellow trousers. It was exactly like that. Like this, a green coat was there. See how beautiful this coat is? Not only coat, they also brought him a yellow trousers. The yellow trousers were exactly like this. As well, on his head, he was wearing a yellow hat with the feathers. Let us see how that was. Okay, got the picture? The yellow hat was exactly like this. See, the yellow hat were having some feathers also. So they neatly dressed up the Tom Thumb. Okay, they had a green coat and yellow trousers as well. On his head he wore a yellow hat with the feathers. Not only that, his mother made him a little leather boots also. What do you mean by boots? This is what leather boots. See how neat and very beautiful it is. So neatly Tom Thumb was dressed up with a green coat, yellow trousers. On his head he wore a yellow hat with the feathers. Also he was having a leather boots. Since he was very tiny, this leather boots was not so big. It was like a pen nib. It was so tiny. His shoes, that is its boots, leather boots, was very tiny like a pen nib. This is called as pen nib. Since he was very small, all his dresses as well as its boots were very small. Especially his leather boots was no bigger than its pen nib. Okay, now let us study the third para. Tom loved wearing his clothes. He asked his mother for a sword and a shield. She gave him a needle for a sword and a button for a shield. Tom liked carrying them. He wanted to be a soldier and to do brave things. Okay, since Tom was neatly dressed up by his parents, he loved wearing his clothes. He was very happy, in fact. And he also asked his mother for a sword and a shield. What do you mean by sword and a shield? Let I share you a picture. This is what sword and shield. So Tom asked for a sword and shield, but his mother cannot give him a real sword and shield. Why? Because Tom was very tiny, isn't it? So instead of a sword and shield, what did the mother give means she gave a needle as well as a button. So instead of giving a sword, she gave a needle and a button. Got it clear? Because he was so tiny. So instead of a sword, her mother gave a needle as well as a button. And Tom wanted to be like a brave soldier. See, this is what soldier. What soldier will do? Soldier will save our nation, right? So likewise, Tom also want to be a soldier and he also want to do many brave things for our nation. So such a good and talented boy Tom was, isn't it? So now let us study the last para from this chapter. Okay, now let us study the last para. One day he went for a walk. He met two men. They were strangers. He did not know them. One of the men held Tom's arm. This little man can help us, he said. Okay, so what happened means one day Tom went for a walk outside. While he was walking in a street, he met two men. He met two men. Both the men were strangers. What do you mean by strangers? Strangers means the people or a person who he doesn't know. For example, if you are walking in a street, many people will be walking along with you. Do you know who is that people or who is the person? No, they are all called as strangers. We don't know them, isn't it? So, likewise, Tom also met two strangers. Those two strangers, what they did means they held the Tom's arm. They hold the Tom's arm and they said, "This man can help us." So what did the two strangers said? The two strangers said that this small little boy can help us. What was the help and who were the strangers? That we can learn in the next chapter. Got it clear? Okay students, thank you.